It's almost time to leave this cold weather Louisiana and head back to tropical paradise of Costa Rica. But before I go, what are the requirements to get to Costa Rica? And since we have to go there, we have to buy traveler's insurance. So why don't we take a look around, find out what's going to be the best price for traveler's insurance before we go. Y'all ready to go? Let's go. So what are the entry requirements to get into Costa Rica? And during this whole pandemic time, they have changed a little bit from time to time. If you go to the U.S. Embassy's website, they keep their website pretty updated. But let's take a look at the entry requirements for Costa Rica as of right now for 2022. So we're at the U.S. Embassy's website, and if we take a look at it, they're saying that practically anybody can come into Costa Rica. And it's real important to note that you do not have to have a COVID test prior to coming. So let's take a look at it together here. If we take a look at it, they're saying that pretty much anybody can come into Costa Rica, and Costa Rica allows entry into Costa Rica for everyone without travel insurance to minors under 18 years of age and for tourists that are fully vaccinated. And they list out right here vaccinations that they are indeed accepting. Now, this is for people from the United States because, of course, this is the U.S. Embassy's website. They also say that foreigners can enter into Costa Rica if they carry a vaccination certificate or card that contains at least the following, and that is the name of the person who received the vaccine, the date of the dose, and the pharmaceutical company or what vaccine they received. Now, it goes on to state that the unvaccinated visitors to Costa Rica, they have to have a medical insurance policy. In other words, they must have traveler's insurance. And we're going to be looking at traveler's insurance a little bit later in the video. So you must have traveler's insurance, and you must have the minimum traveler's insurance of at least $50,000 worth of traveler's insurance. Your traveler's insurance must cover you from the date that you're going to enter to the date that you leave, and it must also have a minimum of $2,000 in the event you have to be quarantined. And so that's for extended lodging expenses. The United States Embassy's website says that, hey, look, you can buy it from the National Insurance Institute, or INS, and a couple of other places in Costa Rica. However, those places will charge an arm and a leg. So if you've got an extra arm or leg to give away, you can purchase it there. But I'm going to show you where is the best place and the cheapest place to be able to get your traveler's insurance if you're coming to Costa Rica. So you want to make sure that you subscribe, hit that notification bell, and watch till the end so that you can find out where is the best place to get your traveler's insurance. It's also important to note that Costa Rican immigration officials have the sole authority to decide how long you can stay in Costa Rica. So just because you want to come in for 2 weeks or you want to come in for 90 days, if you are a rear end and you're not nice when you're there, they can decide to say that you can only be here for 3 days or 1 day and force you to leave the country, stamp out to come in. So it's always important that just because you're an American or just because you're from some other country, you don't have the rights that you might have in your country. It's always good to be a nice person when you're going through customs so that the immigration officials see your passport, you provide everything without any problems, and then if you want to be in for 90 days, they'll stamp your passport and give you 90 days. That's very important to know. Once you do have traveler's insurance for the length of stay that you're staying, you will be required to fill out an online health pass at this website. We'll fill out this form together a little later in the video to show you. This website does work a whole lot better now than it did when it was first created. So you will have to fill that out, but it's important to note you only need to fill that out within 48 hours prior to going to Costa Rica. It won't allow you to fill it out any sooner. You will have to have a valid passport, and you must have proof of intent to exit Costa Rica within 90 days. In other words, you're only allowed to stay for a maximum of 90 days, and you must have either a plane ticket or some proof that you're going to be leaving Costa Rica. So that means that you could actually have a bus ticket. So if you had a bus ticket that was leaving Costa Rica, going into Panama, going into Nicaragua, as long as you had proof that you're exiting the country within that 90 days, then you'll be allowed to come in. So it's important to note, because when we first came, we came in with a one-way ticket, not knowing that we had to have a ticket to leave, okay? Now, if you're a member in our members only community, I'll show you a couple of tips and tricks that will save you a whole lot of money when having to show proof of intent to exit Costa Rica. Now that we understand your requirements, and the requirements are really exactly the same whether you're vaccinated or not. The only thing is that if you're vaccinated, you do not need traveler's insurance. But regardless of whether you're vaccinated or not, you still have to fill out the health pass 48 hours prior to coming. So let's take a look at some of the options of your insurance. Now, I looked long and hard trying to find the best possible insurance. So let's take a look at a couple of them. Now, I've heard of several people that use this one particular website called Safety Wing, and at this particular website, you can get insurance. Now, keep in mind, I did this for my age, so between 50 to 59 years old, staying for a 90-day range, it would cost me $342.90 for that 90 days. Now, that seems to be pretty much the average, but I didn't want to spend that much, and I continued to look. I found this particular website right here at Trawick. Trawick was always our first one, and used to the insurance was a really good price, and well, it's still a fairly good price. Keep in mind, insurance does go up and down depending on how much it's used. If it's used a whole lot, well, then the insurance price goes up. If it's not used a whole lot, then it does go down. Anyway, for that same time frame, for 90 days, for my particular age, between 50 and 59, this one, of course, just like the other one, covers the minimum of having a maximum of $50,000 worth of insurance, $2,000 in the event that you get delayed. And so this one does cost $297. So it is a little bit cheaper than the one that we saw. The first one was $342. This one's $297. So on average, about $50 cheaper. Well, continued looking, and I found this insurance company called Instabuy. Instabuy is really a sister site of Trawick. We went there whenever Trawick was real expensive. And the price, well, surprisingly, is exactly the same price, $297 of their sister site, Trawick, okay? Here's something very interesting. I found this one website that I went to. I put in the same thing for my age range in that same 90 days, and it showed me a bunch of different plans. And I was like, wow, take a look at that. A lot of different plans. Well, the very first plan got me excited, because on the first plan, I had the $50,000 coverage. It said COVID-19 included, and it was only $148.50. Well, I really got excited about that, and as I looked at the deductible, it said $50 deductible. I looked at it and I says, well, I wonder what happens if I choose $100 deductible. Well, it reconfigures, and when it did reconfigure, the price dropped to $135. I got so excited about that, I immediately bought that plan. However, I might have jumped a little too fast, because I found out that that insurance did not have the $2,000 coverage in the event that I would be quarantined. So I ended up having to get a refund, and I did talk to the representative there. He sent me a link saying, hey, the one that you need is the Safe Travels Voyage plan. It does cover that $2,000. And when I looked closely at it before filling it out, well, it says that, hey, this trip plan is by Trawick International. So I wanted to point that out to you, because this company is obviously a reseller of other insurance companies. Whenever I filled this out, it was a little over $350, and they were going to make their $50 profit. See, so it would have been better just to go straight to Trawick and buy it directly from them and get it for $297. So I thought it really important to point that out to you, okay? Now, what I did do was I ended up going back to Trawick, and I says, well, Trawick has the best plan at $297. And as I scrolled down and looked at it, it said deductible $250, and it gave me an option. Oh, well, check that out. What happens if I choose $2,500 deductible? Well, my plan reconfigures, and when it does reconfigure, well, I was surprised to find that my insurance plan dropped to $207.90. For me, somebody that hardly ever gets sick, that's what I would do. Obviously, if I get sick, then I'm in trouble because I got to pay the first $2,500. But since I hardly ever get sick, and if I wasn't forced to buy travel insurance, I wouldn't buy this, okay? However, you've got to make that choice. Do you want to go with the $250 deductible? Maybe no deductible. If you go with no deductible, then of course the premium is a little more expensive. So I went with that $2,500 deductible so I wouldn't have to spend as much money and saved a little bit. As soon as I did actually make that purchase, well, I immediately got an email. I saw exactly what I purchased. It took absolutely no time. And you can download the app from the App Store. Now, that's really important because if I take and I show you right here on my phone, there's the app. I downloaded the app, and then once I signed in, then I could come right up here at the menu bar, and at the menu bar, there was Visa letter. I click, and inside the app, I can take a look at that Visa letter. This way, I can show it to whatever official is there, and I won't have any problems getting into Costa Rica. So this app will make things a whole lot easier, so I encourage you to download that app. If you decide to buy insurance with this company and you create your account, once you're inside, you can download the information that you need. Really, you only need this one right here that says View Insured Visa Letter. And you'll get this letter that you can then click on this arrow and download. Now, it's important that you do download that because when it's time to actually create the Health Pass, and we'll do that in a little bit, then you'll have this so that you can now upload it. So let's go ahead and download this together. So if you click on that download button, well, now it comes up, and of course, most of the time your computer will probably try to download it into your downloads folder. I changed mine so that it would go onto my desktop so I can find it easily. And then you can come up here and you can rename it if you want to. And so I just kind of named mine like that. And that's the Trawick Visa letter. And this way it would be easier for me to actually find. So I saved that onto my desktop. Now that that's saved on my desktop, whenever I do go over here to the Health Pass, it will be a lot easier for me to find it and upload it to the Health Pass. So why don't we go ahead and fill out that form right now. Now, before we start filling out this Health Pass, I will say that if you're a member inside our members only community, you can find the links to all of these websites so that you can dive in a little bit deeper and get all of the information that you want. And it'll make it a whole lot easier so that whenever you decide to do your research, you can get that information really quick and really fast. If you haven't joined our members only community, make sure that you look in the description below, click on the link so that you can join our community. And you'll find great information in there that I simply cannot post publicly on YouTube or in our Facebook group. So let's go ahead and fill out that Health Pass. Once you're at the Health Pass, it has gotten to be fairly easy, but we'll go ahead and fill it out together. So you got a choice to edit an existing pass if you have one, or fill out this form. Of course, you want to read all of this stuff, but if we go down, we'll go ahead and fill it all out because it is really quite simple. Okay, it says indicate if you're traveling as a diplomat or not, and of course, I'm not a diplomat. Your mode of transportation, I'm traveling by air, and I am traveling Delta. So there are a whole lot in here, and instead of scrolling down to try to find all of those, you can just begin to type it in, and you can see Delta Connection or Airlines. Well, I'm traveling Delta Airlines. I put in my actual airline flight, what airport I'm arriving in, and the date of arrival. Keep in mind that, hey, if you're not arriving within 48 hours, it won't allow you to go any further. And keep in mind, you do have to put it in their format, which is day, month, and year, which is something that I'm not used to in the United States. And then click next, okay? it asks you to confirm that you did input the correct information in there. And there is a point in there where they're going to ask you to put in your seat number. Well, if you don't have a seat number, then just put in any number, as it's really not important, but they're asking you to put that information in there. And then hit continue. Once you get over here to step 2, then it's going to ask your nationality. And once again, there's a whole bunch, and you can scroll and scroll, or you can go ahead and begin to type in. And if you type in a few letters, then it's going to pull up something, and you can find yours a lot quicker. Will make your job a whole lot easier. Well, you'll put in your passport number, your name, sex, date of birth, all that good information, email, your phone number, your occupation, go on down. And of course, it's asking you, are you a resident of Costa Rica? Of course, I'm not yet. And your country of resident, do you have any family ties in Costa Rica? I don't. And of course, are you filling this out for a minor? So if you have any minors, you'll want to tick mark that, and then you can fill out the rest of their information. In this case, I do not, and I'll go next. I'm now on step 3. I'm almost done. And really, it's asking almost some of the same information. So I'll put in the same thing. Air, Delta Airlines, my flight number. I'm coming into this airport, my seat number. And what is my purpose of the trip? Well, I always just put in tourism, even though, you do have these other options here. And of course, I put in, my country of origin, my date of departure. And then of course, this part, date of arrival, well, it never really changes and doesn't allow you to change. So I just leave it there. What countries have you visited? And then of course, you have to put in all of the countries, and I've only visited one. So that's what I put. And do you have any companions that's traveling with you? And then I put in whatever city I'm in. Now it's asking for hotel, accommodations, destination. And of course, I'm not staying, but I am going to that city. And I just put in that city, and I'm done. There's an optional, and I hit next. Now that I'm here on step 4, I'm really almost done, but they're going to ask if you have any of these symptoms. So if you go down, I don't have any of these symptoms. I do have to tick mark none of the above. I come down and says, hey, have I been in close contact with any of these people? No, I haven't. So I have to fill that out. Have you received any COVID-19 vaccine or any of this? And of course, I put in no, I haven't. And then travel insurance company. Well, the travel insurance company that I purchased with is not here, but I did purchase from an international travel company. I choose that. And then I put in the actual date that my travel insurance goes for. And of course, I put in the entire time frame since I want to be there for 90 days. Here is where we need to attach that insurance form. So once I do that, I can either drag and drop it, or I click right here. And when I do, I can look on my desktop. This is why we renamed it. And you see right here, it says Trawick Visa Letter. I click on that, hit open, and hit accept. Give it a moment to upload. And of course, it tells you here that we don't accept insurance cards. Anyway, it gives you a little bit of information, making sure that you do know that, hey, you do have to have at least that minimum of $50,000 in coverage, $2,000 of coverage in case you have to be quarantined. Once that file uploads, then you can scroll down and you can attach additional documents if you want, but it's really just not necessary. You really only need that one form. But you need to make sure that you tick right here that you have the minimum amount of insurance, and you can tick right here that, hey, you don't have any symptoms or problem. Now you can click Generate QR Code. Now that you've generated that QR code, it says that you're complete. You can click here to continue. Now you have your QR code, and it's important that you need to save this QR code so that you can now have this QR code to show the officials. So this is exactly what I do. I'll come right down here and I'll click download, and it's going to save this as a PDF. Once I have this QR code downloaded, then I open up this QR code. Once you have this PDF on your computer, there's a couple of things you can do. For me, I'm going to upload this and put it inside my iPhone in the books, and that way I can open up books. Or you can actually take a screenshot of this. It becomes an image, and if you take a screenshot, you can put this inside your images. I'll do both. I now have that image right there, and I'm going to name that my QR code. And I can now share this or airdrop this into my iPhone, and it's now inside my photos. If I go back to my phone, I can open up photos, and there is my QR code that I can now show to immigration officials. If I go back over and I take a look at my app for my books, I can go to my books, and there is my QR code. So there are several ways that you can put this on your phone to make it easy for you when you're going through immigrations. Those are the entry requirements to get into Costa Rica and how you can find the best deal on traveler's insurance. I hope you enjoyed this video. Make sure you hit subscribe and hit that notification bell. Hit that like button so that other people will enjoy this video as well.